Questions. Why do they matter at all? Questions are kind of like screwdrivers. You know, when you get that furniture set from IKEA or you order it off of Amazon and you have to put it together yourself. Having a screwdriver isn't just useful to have a screwdriver, but it's useful when you get to start putting together the table or the chair that you can set up in the corner of the room so you can have a hot beverage.
Hi.
Asking better questions is a way to get better answers, and better answers lead to more meaningful connections, better relationships, and they're the foundation for you getting what you want out of life. And that's even more true if you're somebody who leads a team, has a community, or runs a household, a family, because those people rely on you for driving meaningful conversations, for driving meaningful connection. So in this video, I'm gonna go over 5 fundamental steps for you to start asking better questions and learn to use your screwdriver more effectively. Plus, there are some free goodies down in the description that you can download and start using immediately. And I feel like having some fun today. So, number 1, context is king. Understand the snow globe that you're in. Understand the context of which this conversation is taking place. Get a temperature check. Why is this conversation happening? Understand who you're having the conversation with. Where are you? What does the space you're in feel like, look like? How do you feel inside your body? How does the other person or other people that you're with feel? All of these things matter. The context of which you're asking this question is really, really important. Yesterday, actually, we were at my partner's meme, her grandma's funeral. She just passed last week. And I was thinking about that as I was writing this in the context of the funeral. It was in this beautiful, big Catholic church. And at one point, she's next to me, she's crying, her auntie's giving the eulogy, her sister's kids are running around because they're restless and they've been in this sermon for an hour now. And if you've been to a Catholic service, you know it's like kind of slow, it's kind of quiet, it's not exactly kid friendly. And I thought, man, what if I looked over to her and said, hey babe, did you get eggs last time we went shopping? In that moment, it doesn't make any fucking sense. That question is horrific in that moment because it doesn't fit the context. I've asked that question, 10 or 15 times this year probably, but in that moment, in that context, it doesn't make sense. It's not useful. It's not a better question to even ask. In the concept of better here, we're talking about questions that lead to better answers, and a better answer is more present, more truthful, and with more applicable information. That information isn't applicable. Plus, she would have every right to just reach over and backhand me across the face. Context is king. Yeah, it's a bit of an extreme example to make a simple point, but the conversation, the question that you ask a stranger as you walk into the elevator is different than the one you would have at lunch with a mentor. The context is everything in those two scenarios. That's number 1. Number 2 is be selfish. I have an unpopular opinion, and it's that I trust people who are selfish. Human nature says that we will be selfish. Everything I exist in this human sphere comes through these eyes, it comes through these ears, it comes through these fingers. It's selfish by nature. It comes through my individual body. The center point of my experience is me. So the more that you can understand your selfish motives, the more I trust you. Plus, why would you put yourself in a conversation that doesn't take your wants into consideration? Again, if you're somebody who's leading a community or leading a team, your time is so valuable. If you're having a one-on-one conversation with somebody on your team or within your community, there's a reason, there's a purpose. Your time is too valuable to be running around having meaningless conversations with everybody. Now, what that intention or that reason is can be different. The intention can be simply to get to know them better. The intention can be to teach them something. The intention can be to make them feel or hopefully create a sense of belonging with that individual. The intention could be a project that you're working on. The intention or the reason could be a whole plethora of things, but understanding it allows you to stand in the conversation in more power and say, hey, this is why I'm asking these questions. Why are you asking those questions? The kicker is intention is going to exist regardless, whether it's unconscious or it's conscious, whether it's unknown or known. You stepping into understanding the intention just allows you to own it. It allows you to stand in the conversation and ask the questions from a more embodied place. Number 3, feel like I gotta keep up with the finger thing. Let's do, hey. Ask with a needle. This is where you get to shrink the search query for the person that you're having a conversation with. And what I mean by that, this is where AI and human conversation like gets put into the same funnel. If I go to Google and I search, what diet should I be on? I get 1.99 billion results in 0.25 seconds. How am I supposed to filter almost 2 billion results? This is the same challenge with ChatGPT and AI. It's actually a challenge of abundance. There's so much out there. And it's the same challenge with one-to-one human conversation. There are full courses out there on this. It's called prompting. And for humans, it's basically question asking. If we're in a conversation, we kind of are right now, the camera and I, you and I ask you a question, it's going to inevitably prompt something in you. Whether it's, I don't want to answer that, or here's my answer, or this thought process that you start to go down, it's in the same pool. And we're starting to realize how important specific and skillful prompting is because of AI. If you've ever used it and you're like, make me an image with a dog, there are like 75,000 different images that can come up. But if you're able to say, make me an image of a German Shepherd that's about 2 years old and is extremely fit, outdoors, walking through the forest, looking like it's hunting and stalking for prey, that's a very specific ask. And in conversation with other people, getting better answers means getting more specific and more skillful with our questions. And to be real, I think this is where extremely knowledgeable, well-versed humans and your socioeconomical status quo human diverge, because it puts learning, it puts wisdom on its head, and you start to think in questions and not in answers. The quote by Voltaire says, "Judge a man by his questions, not by his answers," because the questions we ask show us the knowledge and the wisdom that we actually have. Today it's being amplified because it's put into technology, and we can get any answer basically at any moment. So there's an abundance of information for the first time in human history to this capacity that we're forcing ourselves to see the power in asking a better question. Specific and skillful. There are a couple ways you can do this, and I'm going to show you that somewhere else. Come on. Specific questions can range all over, from specific about a topic to specific in vulnerability and getting to know somebody personally. And if you're leaning towards this side, you run a team, you're trying to get to know your people better, or you host a community and you want to get to know them better and have them know each other better, I've put a download down in the description that I've been using for the last 2 years at Dynamic Dinner, which is an immersive connection experience that I've been hosting in Denver. We've had dinner with like 600 strangers, but there are 24 questions down there that I've used over the 2 years that really get to the root, that allow you to cut deeper with your questions and get better conversations happening within the room. Number 4, stupid questions. I'm sure you've heard this before, that there are no dumb questions. I disagree. A stupid question, a dumb question, comes from a place of judgment instead of a place of curiosity. I hate when I do this. But a judgmental question sounds like a statement with a question mark on the end. They feel like I'm telling you what to say, but just packaging it in a question. Let's practice it, okay? I want you to embrace impatience, irritation, disgust, and ask, why do you do that? Now let's embrace awe and wonder and genuine curiosity and say, why do you do that? Same question, same exact words, but a completely different experience. That's the difference between a beautiful question and a stupid question, a curious question and a judgmental question. It's connotation, it's energy. You can feel it even through the camera. My face like shrewds up, my tonality is different. Why do you do that? Or why do you do that? My eyes open, my face brightens. There's a lift. It's not as demeaning. The first question feels like this. The second question feels like this. A judgmental question is from fear to reinstate the belief that I have, to just reinforce it. Curious questions come from love, to discover new understanding. It's like opening a box and seeing what's inside. Now these are so minute and energetic differences in conversation that are hard to relay in one video. So I'm actually putting together an entire facilitator training course, because this is what this is, especially if you run a team, you're a manager, you have a community again, or you're the leader of a family, is you're a master facilitator. You have this group of people that you're learning to bring together, that you're learning to create more connection within, and that's a skill in and of itself that question asking in a larger group comes into play. So I'm putting together a course. If you want to sign up to get notifications on when that releases, to be on the inside, to be in the know, I'll put that link down in the description as well. You'll be the first to hear about it. Number 5, the final one. Listen with your full body. There's another quote. This one's by Claude Levi-Strauss. He said, "The wise man doesn't give the right answers, he poses the right questions." The wise man is wise because he listens more than he speaks. He listens with his full body. If you're anything like me, when you were in college, you just wish that you could sleep on your textbook and learn through osmosis. Like it would just transfer into your brain throughout the night. And although that didn't work, humans and textbooks are a little bit different. That is partially how we work. When we communicate, actually 55% of the communication that comes across is by body language. It's by what we see. 38% of it is through connotation and tonality, the volumes, not what we're saying, but the volumes and the energy, if you will, of what we're saying is coming across. And only 7% is the words that we choose. That's the big difference between writing and even this type of communication, but especially conversation. So you have to learn to listen with your eyes first. 55%, more than half, happens through your eyes. And then the other 45% happens through your ears. To gain insight, to gain understanding, to gain growth, you gotta shut your mouth. At the end of the day, what I do know is that more meaningful conversation happens through asking better questions. Asking better questions is the screwdriver to make your coffee table, to make your chair. It's also more than a 5-step process. Asking better questions is a way of life. It's a way of being. It's a way of looking at the world from a place of reception and growing curious. If you've made it this far, I know you're serious about growing more curious in your life. Before you go on to the next video or exit the browser, whatever you're gonna do, take a breath and feel what it feels like to be curious. And of course, shameless plug, before you fully leave, check those things out in the description. Get the questions so you can learn to prompt more meaningful questions, and sign up to get notified about the facilitator training if that feels like it's up your alley. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.